welcome to week one of Marketing 1090, the internet. I'd like to say it's nice to see all of you again, but hopefully it's nice for all of y'all to see me again. Most of you have had me before in the other classes. This is kind of the way Charter builds this series of classes, starting with the BA 1410 class and then building through the social media track. And that's originally why I was hired at Charter, was to help build this track and to teach it and to help contribute to the social media certificate. So here we are again. Should be no surprises. You know what to expect from me. You know what my expectations are as far as the class, as far as papers, as far as work. So I won't go through all of that right now. Of course, if you do have any questions, you can always call me. So let's talk about week one and what we're getting into. Your work, your reading in particular in chapter 6 and 11 in the Ryan readings kind of cover a little bit of the material that we've covered in some of the previous classes, but that's normal and that's okay. You have to go back and revisit some of that just to kind of bring everybody on track and where we're going. I just want to mention a couple of things. In chapter 6, even though the book has a publishing date of 2014, I'm not sure when he actually wrote this material because it's slightly dated. You know, he tends to talk more about websites as the place where people are having conversations, and I think that may be true in a B2C, a business to consumer type model of a company. But I think when you're talking in the business world about a C2C, a consumer to consumer, this is where most of the younger generations get their information from, is social media. You're talking to each other. You're telling each other your opinions about products and services, places you've been, things you're looking to do. We don't tend to go back to the company as much and try and get information to solve a problem, for instance. So I'll just mention that he does talk about that in there. The other thing he says is we cannot control the conversations. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I would say that while we may not be able to control them, we can certainly steer them. And to do that, it's part of what he talked about in there. You have to listen and you have to respond. And that's going to be one of the key elements that we're going to be looking at as we go through here. Then you get into chapter 11. He talks about content marketing, search information, cost effectiveness, native advertising. Some really good points to have in here. It struck me as kind of interesting, particularly when he started talking about search information, in that we're planning a summer trip to Africa this year. And we were at the bookstore today, and I was looking through a bunch of guidebooks and different books on South Africa, and found one I thought I would like and started walking out, and then it hit me. What am I doing? I teach social media. There should be more information on South Africa that I can find online, travel guides, blogs, reference sites, than I could ever find in a book that I was getting ready to pay $25 for. You have to remember, I'm an older generation. It does take me a few minutes to catch up to some of these ideas every now and then. So I made an about face, went back, put the book back on the shelf, and I'm going to spend the next several months doing our research. So the content information, the search information is all there and something to look at. So let's talk about what you've got to do this week. You've got the discussion question, in which we're talking about content marketing is not a hard sell, but it only presents information. Let's hear what you have to say about that. I'll make a comment about it in the discussion board and let's see. Now, for your assignment, you probably want to get into this one early because you have to do 5 different things where you're creating some content online, and then what you're looking for is for people to respond back. How do they engage back to you? This ties back into chapter 11 and what we were looking at there. So you might want to get that done early so you get content back from people. I'm going to grade you on looking at how much content you got back, how many comments you got back. If you wait and do this assignment Sunday afternoon and then put in your paper that this is what you posted but you got no answers back, you're not going to get full points for this assignment. You need to do this early in the week so you get some comments. If you don't, you need to drive comments to it. You need to ask people what they think. But part of your grade on this is going to require that you get comments back and you report them to me. And then your homework for this week talks about biologically programmed to be social and gregarious. And you've got to write a 3 to 4 page paper on how the internet and social media is fulfilling this need for society. Another interesting observation, my wife and I were at dinner the other night. Sitting at the table next to us was a young couple, very attractive woman, semi-attractive guy. He spent the entire dinner on his phone. Even when he was eating, he was looking down at the phone. And I don't think the two of them said 5 words to each other the entire time we were there, that they were there. And it always comes back to me to the question, how social is social media? If that guy is spending so much time on a fantasy sports site or a news site or wherever he was spending his time and totally ignoring the woman across the table from him, is social media really contributing to the fabric of our society? Next time you go out to dinner or you're someplace, just look around. Don't count the people who are sitting at a table by themselves. They're single, they're on their lunch break, dinner break, whatever, they've got nothing else to do. Look at the families. How many of them are not engaged in talk with each other? And that's what this question relates to. So, good week this week, some good questions to kick off our discussion about the internet in our class. And as always, of course, if you have any questions, give me a call. I'm always available to you to answer and see what we do. Thanks, and I'm looking forward to a really good class with you all this semester.